Hi, and welcome to your Tips for Success video for PHL 20010 Ethical Decisions. My name is Nick, and I'm one of the reviewers for the course. So let's get started. In this video, we'll cover a few topics. First, we'll look at an overview of the course to get a general sense of what the course is all about. Next, we'll dig into the directions for more specifics. And finally, I'll point out some learning resources that can be helpful. You may want to pause the video at those points to take screenshots so that you can keep them handy. For this course, you work for Cause and Effect, and your boss, Dr. Lee, has asked you to examine the ethical issue or controversy surrounding one of the companies from the Business and Ethics Dilemma list. These include companies like Facebook, Mylan, Southwest Airlines, and Volkswagen. You'll consider whether or not it would be ethically appropriate for Cause and Effect to forge a partnership with one of these companies. You'll analyze the ethical dilemma using the ethical theories described in the learning resources, and then base your recommendation on one of those ethical theories or concepts. Completing the project organizer will prepare you to write the email to Dr. Lee and the subsequent targeted message. The organizer will ask you to identify the ethical dilemma, gather the facts, analyze the concerns of various stakeholders, and consider the pros and cons of Cause and Effect's possible options for a partnership with your selected company. Finally, for the last question in the organizer, you'll make your recommendation and base it on one of the ethical concepts or theories from the reading. These are a few of the learning resources that specifically relate to question 5 of the organizer. You might want to pause the video now to take a screenshot of them. Moving on to the email. The email is your opportunity to communicate your decision to Dr. Lee. It contains 3 basic parts. First, you should describe your overall approach to examining the ethical issue. For example, what did you research? How did you investigate the company's controversy? How did you investigate ethical theories and concepts? Next, you'll make your recommendation to Dr. Lee. Be sure to provide sufficient context when you do so by explaining the ethical dilemma, the pros and cons of the options you've considered, and the overall rationale for your decision. Finally, at the end of the email, you should describe the role your own personal sense of ethics played in your decision-making process. For more on this, let's go to the next slide. These are some of the learning resources that can help you explore your own personal sense of ethics. Finally, the third deliverable, the targeted message. This is how Cause and Effect will communicate its decision to the local community. Your message can take the form of anything from a social media post to a press release. Basically, your message has 2 parts. The first part, which is the main section, will be your message to the community about Cause and Effect's decision and why Cause and Effect believes that it's ethically the right thing to do. Here, you'll explain the ethical reasoning behind Cause and Effect's decision in terms that are appropriate for the target audience. Then, for the next part, at the end of the message, you'll explain in more precise language the ethical reasoning that Cause and Effect has used to arrive at its decision. Here, you'll want to go back to your answer from question 5 of the organizer to identify the specific ethical theory you've selected and then explain how it informs Cause and Effect's decision. When you're ready to submit, there'll be 3 deliverables: the organizer, the email, and the targeted message. A note about the email: you can put it into a regular text document format like Microsoft Word. It doesn't need to be an actual email. If you use sources, like for information on the company or information on the ethical theory, you should document those sources with in-text citations and reference pages for each deliverable where the sources were used. You can simply add the reference pages to the documents themselves instead of uploading the reference pages as separate files. Well, to sum up, I hope the video has been helpful. At any time, you can reach out to your reviewer through the private channel or to fellow students through the public channel. We're all here to help you succeed. Good luck with the course.